Hello, so today we're going to be talking about a little bit of a different way to play a D major scale. It's a little more challenging. It really can exercise your finger dexterity, make you really kind of aware of your finger pattern, something that you can do with or without an instrument. You can do this just with your forearm and your fingers. You can do this with your instrument, and you can do it at any speed that you want. So it's kind of, it's variable. It's a good way to practice, and it's a good way to get your fingers a little quicker. So I'm going to start on bass. I'm going to teach how to do this on a bass. I'm going to teach it on cello, and then I'm going to teach it on violin and viola. So I want to explain it first. What it is, it's a scale in thirds, which means instead of going D, E, F sharp in order, what you're going to do is you're going to pop up a third from D to F sharp, and then you go back to E, and then you skip a note and go to G. So you go skip one, then go back. Skip one, then go back. Skip one, then go back. So I'll start on bass, and this is all D major. So starting on bass. Like I said, you're going to skip a note, and then you're going to go back. So you go D to F sharp first. After that, you go from E to G. We skipped E, then we're going to go back to it. Skip F sharp and go to G. And you start to see why it's a scale in thirds. It's because D to F sharp is a third, E to G is a third, and so on. So those first four notes are D, F sharp, E, G. After that, we have F sharp and A. And then G and B. And you start to notice a pattern. I like grouping them in their thirds. So D, F sharp, E and G, F sharp and A, G and B, and you get the hang of it over time. So here's all the notes so far. 3, 4. Some shifting comes in basses because our next pair is from A to C sharp. So we have to shift from one. I like doing fourth finger on C sharp. And then B and D. And then I like to just play two C sharps and a D at the end. So listen to it once. So it's kind of a pattern to go up through the scale, and you can do this pattern backwards. You just do those note pairs like D and F sharp, E and G. You do them, but you start at the top. So the last pair was from B to D. So you would go from D to back to B, and C sharp to A, B to G, A to F sharp. So it's a nice way to challenge your fingers. You can speed that up. If you can get a scale in thirds to be kind of quick. It really gets your fingers moving, and it shows me you have a really solid knowledge of D major. So kind of toy around with that, see if you can get it. It's a little tricky at first. But really think about those note pairs, D to F sharp, E to G, or if you want to think of skip one and then go back, D, skip up to F sharp, go back to E, skip up to G, go back to F sharp. Either way you think about it, it'll work. So I'm going to switch over to the cello. So for cello, hopefully you can see. So for cello, it's going to be the same general idea. You're going to go, starting on D, you go from D skip E and go to F sharp, then you go back to E, skip F sharp and go to G, go back to F sharp, skip G and go to A, so it's like going up 2, back 1, up 2, back 1. Or if you want to think of it in pairs of thirds, the first pair of thirds is D and F sharp. Second pair is E and G. Next pair is F sharp and A. And G and B. Then A and C sharp. Then B and D. So you can think of them in pairs, or you can think up 2, back 1. Up 2, back 1, up 2, back 1, up 2, and so on and so forth. So listen to it once. I'm going to play it through. Oops, sorry. Put 2 C sharps at the end instead of going C sharp and then skipping up like that. And you can do that whole pattern backwards. So you kind of get the hang of it. Once you experiment a little bit, you'll get the hang of how to do it in thirds. And then from there, you can kind of speed it up. Sky. Licking my bass. What are you doing? Okay, so you can speed it up and see how fast you can get it to be accurate. So you can kind of experiment, see if you can get that, and if you want to just do it on your forearm, 1, 3, 1, 4, 3, 1, you can do it on your forearm if you don't have a cello at home. And then last but not least, we got our violins and violas. So violins and violas. It's our time. So D major in thirds. What you're going to do, you can either think of it in one of 2 ways. You can think of it as playing D and then skipping a note and going to F sharp, and then going back to E, skipping a note and going to G, then going back to F sharp, skipping a note and going to A, then go back, and so on and so forth. You can think of it as going up 2, back 1, up 2, back 1, or you can think of it in like pairs. So D and F sharp, then E and G, and then F sharp and A, and so on and so forth. I'm on my D string violas. Just follow along with the violins. Start on your D string and all the fingerings will be the same. So D and F sharp, and then E and G, F sharp and A, G and B, A and C sharp, B and D. So those are all the pairs. So listen to it once. I'm going to play it through. And at the top there, I just go C sharp, high D, instead of doing another little pair, because it gets kind of awkward if you do another one. And you can do that whole pattern backwards, doing the last pattern, which is B to D, just going D to B. So you flip all the pairs. So, see if you can get that pattern down. It's kind of fun to play, and it kind of is like a tongue twister for your fingers. And if you get it really easily, you can see if you can speed it up and give yourself a little more challenge. And see how quickly you can get it while staying accurate. So, there is the D major scale in thirds. If you don't have an instrument, just do it on your forearm. If you do have an instrument, you can do that with any scale that you know. You can do G major, you can do it with A minor, whatever you want to do. You can apply that same kind of pattern to anything, like A minor. and so on and so forth. And you can go up 2 octaves, do whatever you want. So experiment with the scale in thirds. It's really nice for getting your fingers kind of active, and you can just do it on your arm, you can do it on your instrument, you can do it any speed you want, any scale you want. So scales in thirds, really good way to practice, make sure you're in tune, and make sure you really know your scale notes. So yeah, if you have any questions, you can comment on this video post, you can comment on the YouTube video, you can email, send a telegram to my fax machine. But yeah, have fun. See ya.